Hi and welcome back. My name's Faye Wild Photography. I'm a UK-based photographer and educator shooting weddings all over the world. And today I'm doing something a little bit different and I'm really excited about it. I'm interviewing the incredible Jessica Lilly Photography. This winter I've been doing a course alongside my wedding work, which finishes just as the busy season is starting to begin. And as part of that course, I've been interviewing really amazing suppliers within the wedding industry, all focused on something that they excel in so that hopefully people can pick up skills from their knowledge and expertise and apply it to their own businesses to help them market themselves really well. Align has shown me that although I'm not ready to do a podcast, the interview format is something that I really enjoy. I'm very nosy and I love asking people that I think are killing it at something and asking them for one-to-one help. When I saw that Jess had brought out this Pinterest course, which I'm going to purchase because I think it looks incredible, I knew that it wouldn't just be me that was struggling with a lot of the things that are coming up in the course. And I knew immediately that I wanted to interview her for YouTube so that you guys learn from her before investing to decide whether or not it might be a good fit for you. So without further ado, dive into this incredible interview with the very talented Jess. Her work is literally incredible. We don't just talk about Pinterest, we talk about business, discovering work that you're obsessed with, how to curate. There's so many really key topics all centered around curation and marketing your beautiful work that I think you're going to find really, really valuable. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive in. Hello. Oh
Hello.
my God, you look so cute with your little head. It's giving like Y2K.
Just gonna start spinning on some decks. Why not?
Like we're so old, aren't we? Like you've got your headphones, I've got my blanket.
I love that.
I feel like I've been looking at my own Pinterest and I took a screenshot of my own Pinterest because I'm going to do the course, your course, and then show like the growth because I feel
Mm.
like it's going to be exponential. I used to do loads of Pinterest when I was a stationer and I just haven't put the energy and time into it since doing photo. It's such an untapped
I
area.
didn't realize you were a stationer.
Yeah, so I've been in weddings for a long time. Like I started in weddings in 2017 and I was a calligrapher and I used to make like handmade signs and I did that alongside teaching for ages and ages. And then after I had my son, I just was just never seeing him like because teaching's quite intense.
Yeah.
And then it was COVID, and I just thought, fuck it. Like, I've always wanted to be a photographer, and I just went for it. And now here
And
we
here
are.
you
And it's so
smash,
weird.
absolutely smashing it
It's
as
so
well.
weird, isn't it? Like, how it all works out. But I feel like the reason why I've had such fast growth with photography is because of the way I see the details. Because I used
Yeah.
to get the galleries back and be like, where's my stuff that I've just spent like 3 weeks making by hand and there's one photo of the sign and I'm like, are you kidding? So that massively influenced how I shoot things because I'm like so much love goes into the tiny, tiny things. And that's now
100%.
why I'm the photographer that I am. So it's weird, isn't it? How it's like a full circle.
It is. It's
I've not
wonderful
spoken
though.
about that in ages. Like sometimes I forget that that's what, like how I got into
Yeah,
it.
because I think, but the thing is I think as well, we're so like 100 miles an hour, especially this time of year. It's like 100 miles an hour trying to find your feet, trying to just, go from one wedding to the next, edit.
Yeah.
It becomes like a bit of a Groundhog Day. And then
Yeah.
like when you have moments to pause and just not have your head in a wedding or edit and do something like this, it gives you time to actually think back to where you started, to how far
Yeah.
you've come.
$100.
I find I just go into autopilot mode. But like, I don't even want to say through the summer season because there is no freaking
No,
season
because I
anymore.
don't feel like there is a season. I feel
There
like
is,
I've stopped, especially because we both do a lot of London. People keep saying like, when does it get busy? And I'm like, babe, I feel like it's been
it's
busy.
always busy. Like, I've been working since January, which is it's a blessing. It's great. But like, I
Yeah.
did have a bit of time off in Feb and March, and it was quite nice. It actually meant I looked back because I was doing print orders for couples, and I was looking back at their photos, and I was actually appreciating them a lot more
Yeah.
instead of just being like on to the next, on to the next, on to, because
Yeah.
you're going into like just like savage autopilot mode, and
Yeah.
then it's always nice to look back and reflect just to give yourself a bit of time to appreciate how far you've come
Yeah.
as well.
100%. I'm designing an album for my Portofino wedding. I don't know if you have seen that one. I share it quite a lot on my Instagram.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'll ever do a wedding like, because it wasn't just the wedding that was beautiful. We were just so lucky with the light and the when you have that really gorgeous connection with the couple, like everything was working. and I'm going through that album trying to get everything down to like 200 images. And I'm like, how am I going to do this? Because there was just so much going on. But anyway, we'll
Yeah.
get into it. I'm sure we're going to talk about photography a little bit as well, just because I don't want to waste you because you're such a good photographer.
Oh, it's all
And
right.
just
Honestly,
talk
I'll get
about Pinterest. But Pinterest is obviously the big thing that we are talking about at the moment. So we'll start by asking you to talk about who you are and what you do. And
yeah.
yeah,
Great.
go for it, Jess.
Jessica Lilly, as some people know me for my Instagram tagline. It's really funny when I meet people at events. I'm like, "Hi, I'm Jess," and they're just like, "Who?" And then I have to say I'm Jessica Lilly. They're like, "I know you." But so I'm Jessica Lilly. I am a photographer. I'm based in Surrey. My stomping ground is usually around London, M25 Circular, and then randomly my work takes me to the Cotswolds quite a lot. So I operate anywhere and everywhere. And yeah, I am like yourself. I am a photographer. I have been a photographer since 2019. I've been a photographer really since I was 18. But my background started in food. So I used to photograph food for like the likes of Sainsbury's, Waitrose, like the recipe
Oh
cards and
wow. So
stuff
like
like
product.
that. Yeah, like product stuff. And I just got so bored. Like, don't get me wrong, it was cool, but it was agency based as well. So like it's not obviously like our job now where we have like the freedom of working as much as we want to an extent. Like I
Yeah.
had to run a corporate job alongside it. And I always knew I wanted to do something involving photography, but I just couldn't quite figure out what it was. And it wasn't until I got married and then watched my amazing photographers do what they do.
Who did you
I,
have?
I had the Springles. Yeah,
Oh,
Cat and Ash, they are awesome. I love them.
I
I'm
feel
good
like I
friends.
watched the podcast episode. They did another idea, I think, of us,
Yeah,
and
they
they came
did.
across so well. I thought one to hang around with.
When I watch Cat talk, she's just so hypnotic. I watch her talk and I'm like, everything you say makes total sense. And like, she's just, yeah, they're remarkable. They're
Well, I
amazing.
still
And
remember that must have been over a year ago that I watched that interview, but I just remember her being quite just down to earth and very genuine. You could get her energy through the screen, which is quite hard to do. So,
very hard to do.
yeah.
So yeah, I am, and they actually kick-started and sort of helped me guide me on my journey and how to get started, which I was really thankful for. And yeah, and then we're here now, and I'm still going.
God, that's
Still,
amazing because their style is very different to yours. So, how was the transition between you? Because when we start, we tend to assimilate our mentors quite a bit, and then
yeah.
obviously, as we go through the process, we sort of find our own style. When I think about your work now, it's really cool. It's lots of blue, pops of red. Like, how did you find your palette? How did you find your niche? Like, how did that happen?
Oh, do you know what? It's like you said, you try and emulate people in the beginning. I just didn't have an identity in the beginning. Like my main focus was I want to get out there and just start working on weddings. Like
Yeah,
I just want to build a portfolio and then I'll figure out the rest later, which
yeah,
in hindsight probably wasn't the best way to do it. I honestly would say the past 2 years have been where I finally feel confident that I have an identity and
yeah.
that I have an edit and that I'm confident that people can notice my work. So they'll look at an image and they'll know it's mine.
But I
And
think I can tell what you love to shoot just by what you share now, and like something that we're working on because I have a course that I run for photographers, and I just keep saying, and it's weird, I've used you as an example a few
I mean,
times. Yeah, for people that
oh,
love, like I've got this one girl on the course, she loves red, and she's struggling to show off that she loves red in a high-end luxury way, and I'll show her people like you with the blue and Anna from O Ginger because she loves red, and I'm
yeah.
like, it doesn't have to be like super in your face. You can still share all the other things that you love to shoot, but just have pops of it here and there. So keep things quite neutral, use a lot of black and white, and then have like pops of color, which I think you do so well.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I think it just takes time. And I work with someone really closely. I mean, I'm gonna name drop him because he's just fabulous and I love him and have so
With
much time for
Tom.
him. Tom.
Yeah.
I just he's a I can ha actually confidently say I think he's a good friend of mine now. I met him the other day actually. I met him 2 weeks ago to just have a refresh on my preset. And I think it's always good to never stop evolving.
Learning. I agree. Yeah.
You never stop evolving. Like my colors weren't working out for a certain light situation and it was really bugging me. And I thought I just wanted, and we just met face to face and spoke about it. But
And
he
sometimes that's
is
all you need,
amazing.
isn't it? A fresh set of eyes, and then it's so much better.
Yeah, I think he was actually I've I got to give onus and credit to him. He was a huge influence and help on where to find my identity and my branding because I just didn't have a clue. And I think the penny just dropped when he created something for me, and then we've just worked on it and built on it in time.
What's his Instagram handle, just in case anybody's watching?
By Tom W. By Tom W. And he was recommended to me through a friend as well. I'm sure she won't mind me mentioning her, Emily Kelly. And again, I've been speaking to quite a few people, and I was just trying to find my peers in the industry as well, and just trying to figure out, not almost like how did they get to where they got to? I love their work, but I don't want to copy them, but I want something for my own. And I just felt a bit lost.
Yeah, and you
And
see
I
people
think
like Emmy whose work is so recognizable, like everybody knows who she is instantly, and you're like, you covet that, don't you? Like, how can I get that? Like, but the key is just to share what you love, right? Like that's
yeah. And I think it's so nice to be inspired by people and surround yourself with people as well, especially the right people. And
yeah.
I think, yeah, so out of that obviously came the connection with Tom. And for me, it's just don't be afraid to outsource. Like, don't feel like you have to figure everything out yourself. And I think that's the problem when you're
I
starting
think
out.
outsourcing is the key. Like, I know that you work with Board of Busy. Let's give her a little shout out because I know
Yeah,
you rave about her all the
amazing.
time. I love her Instagram posts. They're just so direct. And I'm like, yes, I love this energy. This is fantastic. Obviously, work with Tom, but I still get mentoring all the time. Like, if I'm struggling with something in my business, I think, who's doing that really well? And then I'll go and approach them about getting one-to-one or some support because I think I don't have the time. Like, I'm a busy working mom. I don't have the time to figure this out for myself in like six to
Mm.
12 months. And I'm in a really good position where I can afford to invest money back into the business. And I just think, even if you don't take on everything that they say, you'll learn so much faster by having a mentor and letting them guide you to the right thing.
100%. Yeah. Hannah is she's amazing. She's a real staple, and she's a person, but she will stay with me now for the foreseeable. Like, I never realized. I knew what she did. I've known Hannah for a long time, but I never fully grasped actually how impactful she would be to the business. And I always say to anyone, like, if you are stuck, if you're overwhelmed, if you feel disorganized, like, you have to have someone like that in your business just to come in with a fresh pair of eyes and just root out almost everything that isn't working for you. So yeah,
Yeah.
she's amazing. That's Board of Busy. I'm like
Yeah.
giving so many shout outs, but I
No,
think it's really
this
important.
is brilliant. We love it. And also like what they do is so valid and so important and it's helped you. And that might be exactly what somebody watching this needs. Do you know what I mean? And like how lovely to be able to support Tom and Hannah just by sharing the experience that they've given you because they're working so hard for you. It's not I love shit like this.
I
Like
do.
I love it.
I look, I don't, and I think like when we obviously go into the Pinterest stuff and we'll discuss that, and this is my motto, I don't believe in gatekeeping. I personally don't understand it. I just think, can I swear?
Yeah, you can swear.
I'm like, what's the fucking point in gatekeeping? Like, there is more than enough weddings to go around for
I
people. Like,
like I
don't gatekeep.
I agree so much with this, like so much. And I also just think like Hannah's not doing what we're doing, Tom's not doing what we're doing. They're not a
No.
threat. Like you have got your couples, we can only service. That sounds so, I always feel so rude when I say it. But we can only service so many people a year, a month, whatever. Like there's a lot of loveliness in being able to share that audience with other people. But also, we are going to move on to Pinterest. That's why I've got you on because you have just launched a Pinterest course, but it's quite interesting for people to know how you got your content to the place where it's going to go wild when you do share it because it's always important to get your organic content right first.
Yeah.
I think that's something we are going to talk about Pinterest and we're going to get into the nitty gritty of it. But if your posts aren't performing organically, they're not going to perform well with the right SEO or whatever else. It's always going to snowball if you get it right in the beginning. Sorry, my
Yeah.
cat.
I just saw a tail and I thought,
They're never that bothered about me. And then as
oh
soon as
my
I do these videos, they always pop
goodness.
up. This is Nami. And then
Nami.
this is Nami, yeah.
Nami.
And then
Beautiful.
Nala's behind me.
I love
So we're going to focus on Pinterest today. So why do you love Pinterest so much? Let's get into it.
Okay, this is an easy one for me. I love Pinterest because it's just not noisy. And what you're probably thinking, what do you mean by that? Pinterest is just visualization. Yes, it has a comment section where people can comment under your pins. However, again, it's not really used that much. The only time you sort of see that comment section used is someone saying, "Where's this dress from?" or like, "Where's that bag from?" That's what I love about it. I feel like as creatives, we are held at ransom by Meta. I can say this. I use Instagram and other forms of
Getting me started
socials.
on the Instagram ad fees right now because it's
And even
insane.
that algorithm is just ridiculous. Like, and I feel like we're held hostage by that constantly. And for me, a lot of it came actually. My love for it came into in lockdown. I was like, if Instagram was to go down and just disappear. Like
Yeah.
Bebo did, like MySpace did. I'm not saying it will, because
Me
I think
both
it.
fucking
Do
hell.
you remember?
We're showing off our age now,
Yeah,
Jen.
the love.
Oh, no.
I look if that disappeared in an instance, like what other ways could I boost my visibility? What other ways could I help with my SEO to my website? Because look, I'm not the best at Google Ads. Like that's not my strong point. I like SEO, I enjoy SEO, but I'm not going to sit here and say I'm an SEO expert. And like, no way, I'm not. But I knew there was other things I could be doing and other channels I could be utilizing. And I sat and thought to myself during lockdown, like if look, weddings are like not happening. Like it's illegal for me to work, but I can educate myself in this time that I've got. And I was heavily pregnant, the size of a planet, couldn't really move off the sofa anyway. So I thought, what else have I got to do apart from eat and be
I
on my
love that.
phone
The
and
size
educate
of
myself,
planet.
right? So I basically just started looking up what would couples be doing once they're back and the world's back to normal. Where do they go for wedding planning? They go to Pinterest. When I got married, I had about 700 Pinterest boards. Like,
Oh my God, my
and
board for my wedding was like boho. Like, oh God,
yeah,
let's not even go there.
but
Plates.
mine was the same. And this is the thing, it'll all come back round full circle because it always does. Watch this space, it'll be
Well, I
back.
don't know. If those beaded charger plates come back, I think I'll be concerned.
I honestly, yeah, but it all goes full circle. I think we'll see that make an appearance in the future again for sure. But yeah, and then I really just started to dive into it a bit more, and I thought, why have I not got a business profile? Why am I not using this like to show my work? Like, if couples are on here mood boarding, planning their wedding, sending their mood boards to their planners, being like, I love this, or I love, I want that to be my work that's out there. And I just thought, hang on, this is where a lot of our couples are and where they're planning. Like, yes, they're using Instagram, but most of my couples will have a Pinterest board or
Yeah.
they'll make a mood board and shove it
Yeah,
on
I've got
Pinterest.
it on my contact form when they get in touch with me, and it's so rare that people don't have one. And then in the final process as well, just before the wedding, I always say, look, I won't copy anybody else's work, but it's really good for me to get a vibe of what you see your wedding feeling like. So if you want to send it over, feel free. And people always have them.
Yeah, they do. And I think it's always good, but like that again, it's an amazing tool, and we'll obviously delve into deeper. I'll delve a bit deeper, sorry, into why I think it's such an amazing tool and actually why I think it's underused from a business perspective. But also, it's a chance for you to look into your client's mind. Like, because we don't know what our clients are thinking a lot of the time. Like, we can have open, honest discussions with them, but actually, that's them openly showing you their vision. And when someone sends me a vision board from Pinterest, I can confidently say most of the time my work's on there now because I'm heavily on Pinterest. But it actually gets to a point if I get a mood board in and my work's not on it, I'm like, oh, why is my work not on it? And it's not more because like, oh, my work should be on it. It's like, damn it, I need to keep pinning more, or I need to be doing this. Like,
Yeah.
it's a good way for me to see like whether my work is actually reaching my clients, the people
Yeah.
that book me. So
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I completely agree with that. And I'm really lucky that most of the time when my couples, I don't know, maybe they've done it because they've realized my work's not on there and they don't want to upset me. So they just add stuff in. But most of the time it's either like, yeah, a lot of my work, which is really nice. So,
yeah, it is nice because it just shows it's working. Like,
yeah.
and I would like to think they probably have found you in Pinterest. Like, I don't know if you have it sometimes when you open the Pinterest app and it shows you the home feed straight away. And yeah, it'll show you the home feed. And like sometimes like some of my images will be on the home feed. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it's pushing out the
Mm.
pins that are trending and that Pinterest want couples to see, and my work's on it.
Yeah.
And I always take a screenshot of that just for myself because I'm like, oh, it's
To be
working.
fair,
Like,
that has happened to me quite a few times, but it's mostly because I work with Mia a lot and Mia stuff always goes viral. So I always feel like, can I take credit for this when it's really Mia's work that's going viral? But I'm like, hey, it's my
no,
photo.
you can't. No, but it's
Hi.
your photo, and this is the thing. As long as you can. when you post it, for example, you
Yeah.
obviously just put who worked on the image, because then
Yeah.
obviously the stats also will help them, and it will help their push their work out as well.
I know that Pinterest I use a lot to reshare stuff from Instagram. I've got it linked to my Instagram. Is that something that you recommend, or do you recommend keeping it separate from Instagram and doing things manually?
This is a bit of a, I touch base on this in the course. It's a bit of a,
Because for SEO, I'm guessing it's not the best to post from Instagram because you won't get to go in and put like the alt bits. But
yeah.
is it worth
So
it?
there's a downside. It's a bit of a, I really want to keep swearing off. It's a bit of a shit sandwich situation. But
Yeah,
like actually, I would recommend doing it, but you can control it. So it's always good to link your Instagram to your Pinterest, because it means that when people are sharing stuff from your Instagram directly onto their Pinterest, it will basically credit back to you automatically, and it will help.
right.
So it's basically just almost putting a stamp on the copyright again, to be like, look,
Yeah.
this is my work. Like
And
Pinterest will
avoiding the
basically,
dreaded screenshots.
yeah,
No
yeah,
credit.
with no credit. But like it's always good to connect it. Again, it just reaffirms visibility and identity and brand identity as well. What I would advise against personally is when you automatically link your Instagram, it will just start shoving all of your Instagram posts onto your
Like the
feed
whole
and onto,
carousel. This is what I've noticed that I'm not enjoying so much.
and it personally, I mean, look, we're on Pinterest for a reason. It's curation. We want to put out what we want to put out, but we want it to, we want it to be visually pleasing for people. And I find when you spend a lot of time working on your individual pins, keywording them, making sure that they're matching Pinterest trend guide, which I'll go through later on. But you work so hard on each pin, doing all the alt image text, making sure that it's inclusive, and then you just get flooded with individual Instagram pictures. It's just a bit disheartening. So, but there's a way you can stop it. So it will basically create a board. When you link your Instagram, it will create a board, and it will say
Yeah.
socials. Just archive it. Because you're still going to get people looking at that, even though it's linked from Instagram. You'll still get
Yeah.
stats from it. Don't delete the board. Don't delete the
So if
board.
I if I was to archive it, when I add new carousels to Instagram, stuff's still going to get added to that. Or do you mean hide it, or do you actually mean archive it?
Mean archive it. So the social board, if you archive it, even if you add new stuff to Instagram,
It just
it will
won't
just throw it
appear.
into the social board, into the archive board, and it won't appear on your main pin feed.
Okay.
I would recommend linking it. I think it's not a bad thing to link it. I just think from a consumer perspective, it just looks a bit messy if you leave all of the social
Because sometimes I'll go
things
in
in.
and I'll like say I've done a because I always share carousels, normally up to 20 images. But the issue that I find is that if I've used an app like Unfold and I've got collages inside, that looks really lost because it's really only supposed to be vertical photos that you use on Pinterest.
Yeah,
So I worry, and then sometimes I'll reshare the best images from that carousel to other boards, but then I worry that I'm diluting those best images by having all of the other ones within that carousel that aren't Pinterest worthy. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because when we use TikTok, we share different content. Maybe it's a bit sillier or it's a bit younger because the audience typically is younger. So I wanted to talk about that as well, like how different the audience is on Pinterest, because I feel like it's not just the couple that use Pinterest, it's the mothers of the bride or
yeah,
the bridesmaids. So it's weird, isn't it? Like the stuff that you're trying to share is not necessarily the same stuff that you're trying to share on Instagram, which is for the couple. Have
exactly.
you noticed that?
I have noticed that. So the demographic for me, based on my stats, my age range, because if you go into Pinterest, again, I feel like I'm probably fleeting backwards and forwards here, but we'll go into analytics and sort of how that would all work. But you can actually view who your target audience is, and it's really balanced across age 24 up to 50. So it's actually pretty balanced, and that seems
Yeah.
to sort of be the market and the audience that I'm capturing. What you got to remember is Pinterest is very, from a consumer perspective, it's really simple. It's just a way to escape into imagery and visualization.
Yeah.
And that's why I love it. You don't have all the social noise. You don't have all of the commentary, the quick stories, the reels and that.
Yeah.
You are literally just
You're just
immersing
letting the
yourself
work
in
do the talking,
imagery.
aren't you? Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's that. And I don't want to come across as this sounding rude or condescending, but I think our generation was the first generation to really, be guinea pigs and pilot social media. You know,
Yeah.
I grew up without social media, without internet. Like I think we were like the last generation to be introduced into that. And I think for the
Well, we
older
had
generation,
MSN like in college, didn't we? But that was
I'm gonna send you a nudge.
the start of the beginning of the end, I guess, with our
It was, and you know, we've been the ones that have had to shape shift and move things forward. You know, again, like I'm not slamming socials and stuff. I think you got to move with the times, and you know, I can categorically say I don't think I'd be as successful if it wasn't for social media. I think it's an amazing tool. It's allowed people to set up their businesses and market themselves
yeah,
without having to pay an
100%.
absolute fortune. So it is a real blessing. But like that being said, like going back to sort of the audience. I think you know the generation above us and beyond just they still want that simplicity.
Yeah,
Like so you know, and I think this is why like board organization and curation it is important because you want it to be accessible for people and pleasing so that they
yeah,
stay on your board and they go through all of your pins that you've got. And I sometimes find that with the again with the whole Instagram merge on Pinterest I just advise be careful because it can look quite messy. But if you archive the board, it's not a problem
yeah.
because you won't
That's so
keep getting those
interesting because
images.
we talk about on my course like the power of curation and the danger of not curating and how you can really lose your identity as a photographer if you don't curate. And it's interesting that you've mentioned how important it is to curate because once you go onto Pinterest, sorry, excuse me, I
Sorry.
was literally looking at my Pinterest home feed yesterday and I was like, wow, this is such a good way of getting an insight into my work immediately because it's all of my favorite work from every single wedding that I've done. Because after every wedding, or pretty much every wedding, I'll do a carousel post on Instagram. But on Instagram, I'm trying to appeal to future couples and I'm trying to show off a very specific thing, the vibe of the day, the energy, any sentimental moments. Whereas Pinterest, it's more for the trending things, the individual design elements. There is an element of a vibe and that sort of thing, but it's a lot more, I want this at my wedding, this specific thing, isn't it? So
Yeah.
if you're getting it too muddy with like loads of like family portraits, for example, which you want to show off in your portfolio, but that's not necessarily what people are sharing unless it's, I don't know, a really epic, something unique. I feel like Pinterest is more the place for inspiration and fresh and newness and
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly that. You know, I share an array of things on there. So like I do, you know, I try and keep things quite broad. I think it's like when you touched on the group shots as well. I think they actually perform really well if
Oh,
they're a unique perspective.
yeah.
If you have
That's
got
what I
just
mean. If it's
everyone,
just a
if you've got
lineup, I
someone
feel like
lined
they
up,
don't perform.
yeah, if you do something a bit, you know, more interesting,
On this weekend,
yeah.
and it was loads of the girls were in all different colours, and it's just annoying because there were so many of them that I had to shoot it in landscape, and I was like, oh no, because I would have used that on Pinterest, but landscape, of course, doesn't perform as well. But there was about 20 of them, all in different colours, and they were all scattered around, and I was like, something like this would work amazingly on Pinterest. Whereas if they're just stood in a line, that's not. People are just gonna scroll past, aren't they?
People, yeah, people are looking for unique, fresh perspectives. And I think, you know, whether that's wedding details, whether that's tableware, tablescapes, couples photos, like don't feel like, I think this is the thing. Whilst Pinterest is a source of inspiration, don't let it pigeonhole you in just to sharing certain elements of a wedding, like just
Yeah,
details and stuff. Expand, go beyond. And this is the thing, not every single pin is going to do well. And I think this is
yeah,
where people think it's like a quick fix. If I'm just consistent, every pin is going to go like viral. It isn't. Sometimes I post a pin, I'm like, this is going to do amazingly. Like, this is good pin.
100%.
Like, this is something I'd be, and it doesn't. And it's always the ones that I least expect. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, but it's hard again. It's such a, consistency is a wonderful thing with this as well. And I think if you're consistent, you can have a really good idea into what consumers and couples and people are thinking and what they're searching for and what they're after.
So in terms
It's
of just before we move on to like scheduling and stuff like that,
yeah.
which I feel like we might have been going then, can we talk about how you curate your boards then? So we've spoken about how important it is. We've spoken about how it's quite a good idea to link your Instagram, but maybe remove or archive the like Fayward photography highlights or whatever it automatically calls it. Would you then repin your favorite images from that board to other boards. Is that what you're saying to do with the
Yeah.
Instagram thing?
Yeah, so with the Instagram thing, you can set up as many boards as you want, but make them specific. Personally, for me, and again, that you can see this clearly on my Pinterest, it's not like I'm going to gatekeep what I do. Like, I'm happy to share what I do. I know it works. So I actually only have two boards. I keep it really simple. I'm sorry, that's my husband coughing in the background. So I have one board which just simply states weddings, and I have one board that states 35 millimeter film photography. I could go mad if I wanted to and do wedding details, group shots, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. But for me and just how my brain works, I get a bit overwhelmed if I have just too much going on. So like I've played with it and I've categorized and done more boards for more things. And I just felt for me, for how my busy brain works, if I just keep it into two categories, it just makes me feel a bit less overwhelmed. However, I've got some people that have done the course and they're like, look, actually, I would prefer, like, for organization perspective, to have more boards for certain things. There's nothing wrong with that. It's sort of it
Yeah.
depends sort of like what feels right for you.
I've experimented with loads of different things. At the moment, I've got quite a lot of boards, and I've got boards named after trends. I've got boards named after specific venues. So if there's venues that I work at a lot that I want to work more at, I've got venues for like Middleton Lodge, for example, because I've done like 50 weddings there and every wedding's totally different. But I'm still very much figuring out what's working, what's not working. I definitely haven't put enough time into it. I just sort of do things very sporadically, add things to them inconsistently, which is not very good. I know that with all social media, you're supposed to be quite consistent with it. So do you use Tailwind to plan your pins, or do you schedule it, or do you just do it manually?
Oh, I'm old school. I do it manually. I like to have full control. Again, though, there's no right or wrong. It's got to be whatever works for you and how you organize yourself and time management, I think. So for me, I like to do it manually. So I put like I literally only do 10 minutes a day on Pinterest. Like, and I
Yeah,
think as well, like, it's really hard in our job to remain consistent, especially in busy season. Like, it's
yeah,
hard. So if you need to schedule, by all means, go ahead and schedule. Like, but I'll have like an admin day, once or twice in the week, and I will just basically plan out all my content. So I say, look, I would say max you can post up to 10 pins a day, for example. Anything beyond that, Pinterest will see as they might flag your account as spam. So it's something for people to be mindful of.
yeah.
But I will basically look at my work that I have shot during a period of time and I'll pull off my favorite bits of work.
Where are you
And
pulling them from? Are you pulling them from
put
Instagram, website?
No, I'm pulling them from my hard drives. So like
Okay.
I will look at my Instagram board and I'll say, right, okay, I love this. I'll go get the high res images, for
Yeah,
example, that I have, or
perfect.
in the galleries, and I'll pull them off. When I am planning out my content, I basically use a database called Asana that just organizes my whole life, organizes everything, literally my life, my work, and I have like a section in there for my content planning, and I'll put the image, and then I'll put the heading underneath, and then I'll put the description. And I'll just keep doing that for each pin. So like at the moment, I mean, I'm not posting much at the moment. Granted, like I have some weeks where I'm like, oh God, I just can't. I've not got much to
But that's the
share.
good thing about Pinterest. Like, it's such a long-term thing that if you miss
It
one,
is.
it's really not the end of the world, because
No.
a pin that you posted 2 years ago might just go viral because that's trending again. So that's the beauty of Pinterest, isn't it? Like,
You can reuse content and you're not going to
mm,
get penalized for it. That's the thing. And I always say to people, if you've got a quiet week or you feel like you've not really got much to show and you don't want to just chuck stuff up there, go back to your old pins, see what's doing well, and repost it. But just make sure you change the description and the
yeah.
heading for it to be more
So
current.
keep the same image, but change the text so that it's
Yeah.
keywords in it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, make it more relevant to what's going on now. For
Yeah.
example, because like when you maybe posted it back then, it probably would have, it might have referenced the wrong year or the wrong season, or that, do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I just, again, with when you curate boards, I'd say especially pins, like boards are more for an organizational perspective, I guess, for us as individuals, like what would satisfy us from an
Yeah.
organizational point of view. Pins, when you get into the nitty-gritty of writing your headings, writing your descriptions, yeah, when you curate your pins, you can repost old work. It doesn't matter. Like they're not gonna say, "Oh my gosh, that's already posted." It's not gonna perform well.
So you'd go back to your hard drives, get the same image again, repost it fresh. You wouldn't screenshot it. You'd get the original image again, but then you'd use different. So let's just backtrack a little bit. So there's different types of posts that you can put on pins. There's normal pins, rich pins, idea pins. Can you give me like an idiot's guide to the different types of pins on
Of
Pinterest?
pins. It's interesting. So I literally keep it really simple. I just pin.
I love this because
I
sometimes people talk about all the different stuff, and I'm like, yeah, but what do I have to do as a photographer? Like, do I need to do all this singing and dancing stuff, or can I just keep it simple?
again, I look for me, I think simplicity is key. I think it's always good to know the knowledge and like the stuff
Yeah,
behind it, but look, I'm busy as hell. Like I like
yeah.
you are, you know, and I didn't want to take the fun out of finding something new
So
that
you
was
need to,
exciting.
I've literally just been talking about this with a girl in my course who's got a WordPress website, and every time that she wants to do anything to the website, she has to go off, get somebody to do it for her, and she's getting frustrated because not only is it a payment that she has to make, but everything's delayed because it's not autonomous. And I just said you'd almost be better using something a lot more simple without all the bells and whistles, because then you've got the autonomy to correct it yourself. So it's the
Yeah.
same with this. It's like the best thing to do is the thing that you can do conveniently,
Yeah.
and
I
that
think
fits
like
in your schedule.
so, I mean, with Pinterest, you can do carousel pins. You can post like little reels onto Pinterest. So, like, you know, it kind of replicates a little bit like Instagram. But for me, I like to just let the photos do the talking. So I don't actually tend to post carousels onto Pinterest.
Just single
Again,
pens.
yeah, I just do single pins. I think again, that's just more my preference. I'm not saying, you know, carousel pins are great. Like they're great,
Yeah.
but just for me, you'll notice this if you look at if you look at companies that use Pinterest. For example, if you look at like Anti-Bride, if you look at even
Same.
the Wed, the Lane, Together Journal, Bridal Journey, they will follow the same format. They'll do singular pins. And that's because
Yeah.
you want to keep the content coming. Whereas if you do a
Yeah.
carousel pin, you've probably got 4 or 5 hero images, but they're all contained within that one carousel.
Yeah.
I
So people
personally
can't.
just, yeah, I think it's good as well because it's good to post singly because the keywording and the description may not be relevant to all of the pins that you've put in the carousel. Like if you've got a couple shot, a detail shot, a tablescape, a dance floor, like
It's
you could have
different.
it's different. You could target so many different audiences and
Yeah.
people with
So
those
let's
imagery with that
you've just
imagery.
say you've gone through your like archive. You're like, right, I'm going to post the pictures of the pearls that you put up yesterday on the pink
Mm,
sofa. Stunning image, by the way.
thank you.
And so, how would you go about doing the description, the keywords? Do you use AI to help you, or do you just literally write a description of what you can see in front of you?
So I'm all for AI actually helping you, to be honest. I mean, I really suffer with struggling to get stuff down on paper. It's
Because that's
something
what I
that,
do for alt text. I'll put like a
yeah,
picture into ChatGPT because I feel like the robots know what people would search for to get that image, whereas I don't.
yeah,
So if you
yeah,
put it in, you can just be like, give me short alt text for this.
yeah.
So can you do that with Pinterest as
Yeah,
well?
you can. Yeah, you can. You just copy and paste it obviously over into Pinterest. I mean, so like with an image like that, for example, I would obviously put the alt text in, what it is, what exactly it is that I've done, you know, pearls, you know, pearl necklace laying on top of a velvet pink and red sofa, like keeping it
Bougie.
obviously bougie. But I would also, you know, if I was posting a pin like that, it's a bit of a random one, isn't it? Like again, I think gone are the days of I mean, people look. I want to say gone are the days. Like you shoot however you want to shoot and whatever resigns and works for you. But like I love hanging shoes where they don't belong. I just think it's hilarious. I personally, for me, I'm just like, ha. Like I like down the line. I'd like to think if someone was to look at that image, I almost want to think, what the hell is she doing with that? Like you know,
I feel like
having
so
that.
many, yeah, like so many random places to share. It's the thing. It is a
It's
bit of
the
a tenor.
thing.
It is
It
a bit
is.
of a tenor.
It is, and it's fun. I like to look. I go into a venue and I'm like, there's a big crystal chandelier here. That's all right. I've got public liability. I'm going to go up there and give it a go.
Yeah.
Again, I think venues probably hate me for it, but like that's what my couple seem to be like that unique, different perspective of like, you know, I was never ever good at flat lays. Just
No.
couldn't. I couldn't style a flat
Well,
lay.
I'm an ex stationer and I can style them, but even when I was a stationer, I found them really boring. Like
Yeah.
I would rather have like them in the flowers, or I was always moving them to the corner of the room or in a bathtub or like somewhere really random. I never loved the flat lays on a board. That's just never been my style.
I've just never, I really don't like things from a 2D perspective. I really like to
Yeah,
sort of see things sort of like in action. And I guess that's really hard with details in it because they don't move. But I think that's the thing. If you put things into a different place where they almost shouldn't be, it makes them think, oh, I wonder what their thought process was behind that. That's quite
yeah.
interesting. Like
No,
that's
I
different.
completely agree.
Yeah, but that's the stuff that Pinterest, like people are looking for on Pinterest. Like that's the kind of
Yeah.
pin you'd put on. So like with the keyword for the pearl necklace, for example, I would just simply do a little write up. So for the this, I think I've posted it today, and I
Oh,
put,
what did you put?
I'll read it out word for word actually because I
Put
have
like
got it, but
old money aesthetic. I'm just trying to guess what you might put.
it
Broadly
might surprise.
Italian.
I kept it quite matter of fact. It was literally how to elevate your wedding detail shots. Let me grab it up just so I can actually tell you what I put word for word. Yeah, basically I just put how to elevate your wedding detail shots within your wedding gallery. And then I just put a little blurb saying rethinking how to photograph your wedding accessories can completely transform your gallery. Like I've done it from a perspective that if a couple were to look, or let's just say a bride, for example, was to look at that and find it, they could be like, okay, I want to show this to my photographer, like this, so it's
Yeah.
a bit more interesting, a bit more like with my vision. Or even if a photographer was to find that, I'd want them to take that away. I'd want them to look at the image, but because I've given more of a description as to how, the title says how to elevate your wedding
So
detail shot.
is it a bit like Instagram Reels in the way that the more people are reading your pin, the better it performs? Is there any sort of like reward to people reading the captions or
Yeah, I mean, I think there is. But if people are likely to enjoy the image, they'll read the caption because they'll
yeah.
want to see how that image was taken, or they'll want to see if you're giving away any
Yes.
information in there.
With the like how-to stuff, that's going to be better for SEO because people normally go to Pinterest and Google with a problem, don't they? So
They do.
by using language like how to do this or like just giving advice, I guess that's going to be so much better for SEO because that's what people are searching for.
Look, Pinterest is a visual search engine.
Yeah.
It's a visual search engine.
And that's what a lot of people don't realize that it's literally more like Google than it is any other
Yeah.
like
People just see it as a tool to make pretty mood boards, and it's so much more than that. And I think this is where it's being slept on from a business perspective, but also
yeah.
because it gets overcomplicated from a business perspective, and it really doesn't have to be. Like, I've honestly kept it so simple how I use it, but because I need simplicity in order to continue running my business efficiently. But that doesn't mean simplicity won't gain you results. It doesn't mean that simplicity won't work for you.
Oh, and I'm going to share a little story now, and I can't name and like not name and shame. It's a really good thing. But my friend, the other day, a really good florist that I follow, Hamish Powell or Hamish Powell, however you say
Hmm.
his name, sorry, Hamish, did Bicep. Have you heard of Bicep? I feel like you're in
Yeah,
the same music as me.
yeah.
We did their wedding, and I put something on my story, and I was like, oh my God, imagine doing a DJ's wedding. That would be amazing. My friend then gets in touch and is like, I'm doing this person's wedding. It's one of my favorite DJs. Like I can't even stress. Like I'm like, I will learn how to shoot Canon just so I can come and second shoot for free. Like I would die. And the partner of the DJ found her on Pinterest.
There you
So
go.
now I'm like, oh
There
my
you
God,
go.
the universe, hello, I've got Jess coming on YouTube next week. I'm gonna like figure out how to like do Pinterest so that the next time a DJ is planning their wedding, hopefully they see my work. But yeah, you can't sleep on Pinterest when stuff like that is happening. Like that's insane.
You can't. And I think it's really important to ask people when they inquire with you as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, but don't only ask that question. Say like, I actually say to people like, how did your journey lead to me? Like, because a lot of the time, like people will say Instagram, but I say, look, where did it start? Like, where did you first see a piece of my work? And I had a couple that booked me 4 weeks ago and they said, we found one of your photos on Pinterest and then it linked to your Instagram. And then so they put in the inquiry form they found me on Instagram. But actually, when I
Oh,
got
that's so
speaking to them in more
interesting.
detail, I said to them, "Where did you first see a piece of my work? Like, where did you first notice my work?" And they said, "We found it on Pinterest, and we saw it
I
linked to
might
your
change
Instagram."
like inquiry form, the language on my inquiry form, because that's quite interesting, isn't it? Because people always say Instagram, and I'm like, but was it Instagram? Or was that
Exactly.
the last place before you decided to inquire?
A lot of the time Instagram is just a landing page. Like it's a landing page. I mean, when I do my pins, I actually now just link my website. Don't link my Instagram. I've got my little Instagram icon that you can go to, but when I do my individual pins, like for example, the how to elevate your wedding details and in the description, I then link it to my website. Or if
But
I
I think
do
that's better because that's
for
your website.
SEO,
Yeah,
SEO is 100% better for SEO because it will
yeah,
link up to your website and it will boost your stats and it's another lead generator into the business. So
yeah, I love that. So we've talked a little bit about curation, keeping things simple and just doing standard pins, not getting lost in the noise of all the different things that you can do, which like could be applied to multiple areas of business, couldn't it? To be honest, just finding something simple that works for you. We also talked about archiving the Instagram linked. Do you ever archive other pins that you've posted organically if they're not performing, or do you just leave them on?
I leave them, but this is going to be one tip that I'm going to say to everyone. Please do not ever make this mistake that I did because it's something I really kick myself about now to this day. So I shot a long time ago. It was actually just like when we were allowed to sort of rear our heads from COVID.
Yeah.
I did a boho picnic setup. To be fair, it was pretty epic. It was like I mean, Lindsay, who did the florals from Two Little Birds, she went to absolute town. It did look pretty cool. And
Grass.
it was
You're on
talk.
because there's pampas grass.
For me, I was like, yeah, it was more like this doesn't, it was in my old edit. And for me, I wanted to start my Pinterest from scratch, like to reflect my brand and to
Yeah.
reflect like what I offer clients now. I want to be realistic in what they're going to get from me now, not what they were going to get from me 4 years ago. And those pins went viral. They did really well. Like I'm talking like literally they had like 750,000 views. They had like, 10,000 likes, 6,000 reshares or pins. And then I stupidly deleted him because I thought they don't really sort of serve the purpose of my brand anymore, but I'm going to delete them and I thought that my statistics would sort of be stamped and remain the same. No, I deleted it and I basically wiped all of my stats. I wiped everything. I basically started back from scratch.
Oh
So
man.
my advice is if you've got old work on your Pinterest, but you don't want it to be in consumer view, archive, never
Yeah.
delete. That is the biggest mistake I made because I don't naively, I just thought that because that's where I am in the arena of Pinterest and that, people are viewing my work, like the stats wouldn't move because I
But they
deleted that
did.
pin. I didn't
Oh, that's so
correlate.
frustrating.
It's a lot of mistakes. I've had two people that have purchased the course. I became so demotivated with Pinterest because my stats just went massively downhill overnight. And I was like, okay, one, were you consistent? Answer is obviously no, because they've not been on Pinterest. Fine. Two, did you delete anything that was performing quite well? They said, yeah, well, I deleted all my boards because I wanted to start from scratch. And I'm like, no, please don't
Well,
do
that's
that. Like,
why, yeah.
don't do it. Because even if you archive them, that you're archiving them from your curation and your feed, but you're not archiving them out of Pinterest. People will still
Yeah.
discover and find it. So
It
just
just won't come up when they look at like Jess Lily, it won't show them
it
those,
won't show in your
but they'll
per
still be out there in the universe.
they'll still be in the ether. People can still see them. So just archive, don't delete.
Yeah.
So
I love
important.
that. I love that. Okay, cool. So we've covered quite a lot there already, like how to curate. So when we spoke a bit about you go through your images and you're figuring out what to do, and you said that you like to show off things that have been shot in a very creative way. So details that are somewhere where they shouldn't be, group shots that are done a bit differently. It feel like it would be a really good time now to talk about like the Pinterest trend reports and how they influence what you post as well. So
Yeah.
Pinterest once a year, isn't it? They post a
Yep.
trend report of all the things that are coming up and I mean, I feel like you should be saying this, but I might be wrong. This is from what I understand from when I did Pinterest like years ago. They do all sorts like interiors, weddings. It's not just one
Yeah.
topic, is it? It's loads of different things.
That's
So
right.
when I do the workshops, I actually look at things that are trending outside of weddings when I'm choosing what to do for my
Yeah.
workshops. Do you feel like when you are looking at the trend reports, you're consuming a lot of different topics, or do you tend to focus
Absolutely.
in certain ones? That was
Absolutely.
quite long-winded, sorry.
No, that's fine. Let's break it down. Let's go for it.
Mm.
So, firstly, yeah, the trend report is released once a year. I would recommend everyone who is starting a Pinterest journey or is even into Pinterest just keep access to it, save it down, keep the link to it, refer back to it, because I you should not just be looking at the wedding element. That's only gonna, the wedding element, trends that have been done and that have been put in action, and ideas that have been put into action already. And you can be inspired by other people's ideas, but I sometimes think if you focus just solely on the wedding
It's
element, you're
copying.
copying.
You can't find your own point of view.
You're
Whereas
copying
it's easier to translate other niches your way, isn't it? I just feel like it's
100%.
easier to be organic when you're not looking.
Look, I am most inspired not by weddings, but by architecture,
Yeah.
buildings. Like I'm inspired by life around me and like things that I
Yeah.
consume. Like I'll pick up a design book and I will just have ideas like just from like spots of lighting that hit a certain building, like stuff like that. And I think as a creative, that's where probably a lot of us are inspired. I honestly like I admire other people's work that's posted, but I'm more inspired by something I see. Like, for example, like I think a lot of us would be inspired by cinematography in films, right?
Mm.
Like Wes Anderson's having his moment again. Like people are like really drawing inspiration from that. You look at that trend report, just don't focus on the weddings. Like, look at it. It's good to see actually, like because it does give you a good insight on what couples are searching for, but draw inspiration about for all the other subcategories in that report as well. That report is a Bible that you'll probably need to keep with you, because again that's Pinterest giving you free information and saying, look, this is where our audiences are looking. So like they've pretty much given you like the golden ticket to their audience and what their
And
insights
how can
are.
people find the trend report?
If you literally type it in on Google 2025 Pinterest trend report, it
And
will
it'll
come
just
straight
go on my
up.
website.
First thing that comes up.
Yeah.
I think as well, Pinterest is focused on trends and obviously like what's in, what's out. And it's really funny. A part of me is like, you want to keep relevant and keep up to trends and stuff. And there's a part of me that feels sad when I hear the word trend, because you know it's going to
Yeah.
come and go quick. And actually, like in hindsight, as a creative, you create something that aligns with you. And I think especially with weddings, like you shoot what's actually happening. Like people's wedding day isn't a trend.
No.
However, what you want to show, and like this is what I mean, when you're pinning and when you're planning and when you're curating, like if you've got an image that you absolutely adore because you can just literally feel the energy radiate from it, it transports you right back to their day and you knew how much that photo meant to them. Don't feel like you can't post that on Pinterest, because actually that will probably resonate with a couple
Yeah,
that are
that's what
planning.
I feel like Pinterest is for me. When I think about Pinterest, I think it's details and vibes. Like I feel like the energy, the movement, the slow shutter, that stuff all performs really, really well. And I use it a lot for motherhood mood boards as well. And I feel like the stuff that's trending, it's just more raw. It's not necessarily polished. It's all quite messy and like very real. And I think that's what everybody's craving in real life. So sometimes, even though it's a trend, it is what people are connecting with because it's what people
Exactly.
like. It's almost like Instagram for me is a distraction. And whenever I teach about Instagram, I always say people go on Instagram normally when they eat their breakfast or when they get in the car after work and they're after a distraction. If it's too heavy or things get a bit like sad, they're probably not going to engage with that stuff as much because of what they're looking for from the app. Same with Pinterest, you sort of hit the nail on the head that most people are going onto it for inspiration. They're looking for ideas that they can share with family and friends about what they want their wedding to look like and with their teams of what they want their wedding to feel like. So, like, yes, it's there will be trends and stuff, but I don't think that that's a bad thing. Do you know what I mean? I've
No,
gone
I
on a
don't. But I
really
think
weird
trend can come
tangent.
across as quite a dirty word, can't it? Do you know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like people saying, "Oh, like." But I just think if you have content and you don't feel like it's hitting what Pinterest trends are saying,
yeah,
what I want to say is don't feel like you can't post that. Like post what resonates with you and what you are proud of, and the work you're proud of, because the chances are people are still going to see that and think, wow, that's amazing, I love
yeah.
that shot. Like, so I think, use the trend report to see what people are posting on, so you can
But
kind of
don't let
like
it put
see
you
where.
in a box and don't get that
Absolutely.
stuff.
Don't let it put off sharing certain work because you feel you have to try and remain relevant, is like my
Yeah,
point with it. I
yeah. All
think
right, I completely get you actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like I think again, like the trend report is amazing. It's something everyone should have access to, but I don't want it to be a stopping block for people to think, well, I can't post this because it's not on the Pinterest trend
Yeah, I
report.
think like as a general bit of advice for consuming trends, something that's worked for me over the years is taking everything with a bit of a pinch of salt, like consuming the trends and looking at the trends, but then not looking at it again, like having it in the deep subconscious of your brain, but then going to a wedding and approaching a wedding like we all should, just being present, being in the moment, seeing what we connect with. And it's what you've just said, like shooting things that you're obsessed with. And yeah, we might shoot that shoe on a chandelier because of something that we saw on Pinterest 6 years ago. We've not got our phone in front of us copying like a moment. We're not trying to recreate an image. We've got all that content in our brain, those trends in our brain, but then we're making sense of it in our own way, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Being in the moment.
Absolutely. And I think this is the thing. I think use it as a source of inspiration. Don't use it
Yeah.
as a way to like this is how I have to like this is the pathway to how my content should be. No, use it as an inspiration so you can see what people's thought processes are, what people are wanting, and let
Yeah.
that inspire you in your own way. And I think as well, like people, it's like you said, touching base on socials, it's a dopamine fix. People are going onto social media because they're searching for a dopamine fix. It's
Yeah.
like, those in between moments, getting in the car just before bed, like, it's a
I do,
dopamine
I
fix.
do get, and I know that that's a really controversial thing to say, and I understand people using their platform to discuss things that are very important, taboo topics. We're not going to get into it because there's loads of stuff that we could talk about. But I think predominantly we are wedding photographers. We are servicing a couple on one of the happiest days of their life, and I just feel like it's remembering our place in their wedding journey. And we
Absolutely.
get heavy and we can do all this stuff, but realistically, they just want to be around a positive source of energy and like things that are going to inspire them and make them feel good and like, you know, encourage that excitement.
100%. And
And
I think when
Pinterest
you
is kind of
strip
an
it
instant
back,
there.
yeah, and I think when you remember that and just take it back to why you wanted to do this. You wanted to
Yeah,
shoot weddings for a reason because it's an amazing day, like an emotionally charged day. And I always say look, some days are harder than others, rightfully so, especially when you're
yeah,
shooting circa to 20 to 40 weddings a year, right? It can be
yeah,
tough, but at the same time, like what an honor it is to freeze a moment in time. Like,
yeah,
what an honor it is to be the one to carry that legacy. And I
yeah,
think that's the thing. Like, aside from obviously Pinterest being all about like looking beautiful and having this that, and the other, like, strip it back. When you get into it, because it can happen in this journey where you think, I don't feel like I've got anything worth posting that's going to be relevant and stuff. I think just the fact that you're freezing moments in time is relevant enough that you've got, the that you have the honor of doing. And
No, I think I definitely agree, and I think it's a delicate balance of like last night or the last few weeks. I've been sharing a lot about my early get-ups and stuff because you don't want people to think that it's all just pearls on a pink velvet sofa. Like our job it's hard, but I think it's about getting the balance right between we work really hard for our couples, but how exciting is it that we get to create X, Y, and Z, and when you're creating the pins and you're putting the language into it and you're talking about what to do, I think keeping the language quite positive is like an extra consideration that people could make so that their work connects with more people because you've got such a warm audience. Like they're so excited. They're there pinning stuff because they're buzzing, they're getting married, they've got all these different ideas. So being like a source of light and inspiration, I think will only help your work to get seen even more.
100%.
Am I making sense?
You
I
are
feel like I
making
said that in
sense.
a very like roundabout way. But yeah,
Yeah.
I love that you've spoken so much about, obviously we've talked about trends, but something that I talk about loads in a line is just being really obsessed with the work that you're putting out there. And it doesn't need to make sense to anyone else. Like it might be pearls on a sofa. You can be like, wow, she's obsessed with these pearls. But I saw it and I was like, that's so Jess. And like when I see the blue, I think that's so Jess. And when I see like, champagne towers or flash work, you're really well known for your flash work. I can see that you really love that image. And I think it's because I know that you work with Verity a lot. And I obviously adore Verity because we work together a lot as well.
Yeah.
I love that when I see somebody's work, I can tell whose work it is
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't know that if they were trying to follow 100 trends at once. Like it only
Yeah.
works when you're being really true to what you actually like to
Yeah.
shoot. Do you know what I mean?
I 100% know what you mean. And I think this is the thing, it's kind of like touching back to what we said at the beginning. It's like finding your brand and identity. Obviously, that's a word that gets bandied around a lot, but
Yeah.
it's actually finding what sets your soul on fire. Because what sets your soul on fire might not be currently trending, but that doesn't matter because
And it doesn't mean
if
that it won't be in 6 months' time.
exactly, but also like I put how you present, like if you have, like I said, an image that is amazing and that you love and that you again you can just feel the radiation of the energy from that photo. If you are enthusiastic about that when you post it, and like you said, your language is positive and that stuff, like that will captivate people straight away.
Yeah.
But this is why like text and language is important within Pinterest as well. Like the
Yeah,
image.
cover that because some people see it as just a visual thing, and I think you can't sleep on it's not just the keywords. People do read it. You see the first like couple of lines, don't you, when the images are up. So
Yeah.
I think it is
Yeah.
important to keep the language quite positive.
Yeah, keeping it positive and keeping it simple as well. Just don't
Yeah.
over fluff it. Like you know, they'll see the image and then they'll literally probably I think they see like the first like 4 to 5 words of the heading. You've got to try and captivate that person in 4 to 5 words to read on
Yeah.
to the rest of what you have to say. So
But
I
that's
think
when earlier you said using things like how to do this, because if they think they're going to get some insider knowledge, that would make me want to click. I'd be like, oh my God,
yeah,
how do I do that? Like, let's do that. Do you ever not use how to, or do you, what are
yeah.
your like buzzwords for the start of your, because I bet you've got a few that you rotate when
I
you're
do. Yeah,
typing
I
them
do.
out.
I rotate between how-tos. I rotate between if there's like detailed shots I've done. Bows obviously are a bit thing, right? So
I love
people are like, bow decor, drapery. Like if I know that's if I've got an image of that and I'm like, oh, I'd love to put that. That looks visually pleasing. Like
that.
that would just look great. I will put that up and I will literally just say bow decor inspiration
Yeah. Oh, so you
because
can
it's
just put
simple.
ideas or keep it really
Yeah,
simple.
yeah. So like you can use how-tos, you can do bow decor ideas for your summer wedding, for your I think it's really important when you're reaching out to audiences as well, like don't shy on using specific geolocations like London or don't shy on using
It's good. It's good to do that to keep it quite specific.
yeah, it's like doing it. If, for example, if I've posted a picture of a couple who've got married in London, I'll put a real wedding in London City during the or I'm trying to think, for example, what
I
I
guess
posted
it's
the other day.
thinking about
It's like
what people
stylish
do.
summer wedding in the city of
Yeah,
London. Like straight away, you're nodding
yeah,
on the seating because guess what? If someone's planning their summer wedding, they're not going to be searching for autumn wedding ideas.
right.
They want to search for summer ideas, and like they're going to look at that photo and think oh, that was shot in the summer sunlight. Like that's what hopefully,
Yeah.
obviously can't call it the UK, can you? But you would sort of think this might be
Yeah, but
sort
it's
of
the head of
expect.
the couple, isn't it? And thinking,
Yeah,
what are they looking for to put in their boards? Because it's things like if it is a summer wedding, the outfits are going to be different for illegal compared to if it was in the winter. So adding the
exactly.
seasons in is actually a really good idea because I've got boards for like autumn flowers, summer flowers for
Yeah.
that reason, because seasonal stuff converts. Like people are looking for those specific seasons, aren't they?
That is one of the main things people are looking for on Pinterest, and a lot of it is dictated by seasons.
Yeah,
Trends, for example, dictated by seasons. Like
yeah,
using seasonal language, like I really recommend it, especially if you've got a pin that you want to use as an inspiration pin. So like, you know, like I said about the bow decor, like
yeah.
go into the description, like, you know, I think I literally posted a picture of like I did a shoot with Rebecca Getwed. It was like a Valentine's Day inspired shoot last year, and like this is when bows were really starting to become a thing. So we oh my God, there was just a bow on everything. It was glorious. And I literally just had a picture of a
Not like.
candle. Yeah, I had a candle, it had a pink bow on it. And I just kept it so simple. And I put in the time, I literally put in the description, pink bow decor.
And
I
it just
mean,
went
it
off.
very abbreviated. And then I just put in the description styling ideas for your spring wedding. You know, incorporate bows into your tablescapes to create an elevated feel. And it went nuts. It's
Yeah.
purely because Instagrams, you call it algorithm or like what people are looking for, they saw the word bow and they were like, ping.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
What are like the three, four, five things that you're trying to do more of at the moment? So last year it was bows. At the moment, is it champagne towers, shoes? Like what are you trying to do more of at the moment?
It's a really good
Vibes.
question. And I'm a bit stumped on it. No, do you know what? I'm trying to be a bit more. intuitive and actually just doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
Does that make
No.
sense? Like, do you know
Yeah.
what? Like, I'm obviously, I think looking at my boards this year, the focus has been on sort of shoes being where they shouldn't be, details being where they shouldn't be. I just
No,
like
but I
to,
think that's
I
clever
find it
because that's your niche.
amusing.
No, that's your niche though.
I like doing stuff like that, but also I think it's just my so I want to just try and probably actually share more real weddings, like stuff that's
Yeah.
actually happened. Because I think I went really detail heavy initially, and that was satisfying for me because aesthetically that just it looks great. But I think this year my focus is going to be trying to work with more candid imagery and seeing how I can incorporate that into Pinterest.
That's
Like,
definitely the emotion for me at the moment is like I love the aesthetics, but controversially, like I'm actually placing less and less important. Like I did a wedding the other day, no shade to the couple at all. The wedding was beautiful, but it was like a baby blue and lemon suit, which is not like given the opportunity, every wedding that I would do would be black tie. And there was a point like a couple of years ago where I'd have seen the suit and thought, oh my God, I'm never going to share this wedding because it doesn't match my aesthetic. The vibes were off the chart all day. The groomsmen, there was like 8 groomsmen. They were such a good laugh. I was howling. You know, when you finish a wedding and your face hurts from how much you've laughed all
yeah.
day? The joy in those images, like
I
it's
and I
insane.
I I think this is the thing. I think couples, that's what couples are wanting to see.
Yeah.
That's not me saying don't share details stuff like I'm still going to
No,
share
the
stuff like
details are important,
that.
but imagine
They
not
are,
sharing that
but
wedding just because I didn't love the colour of the suit. It's such a
exactly.
micro
Don't
detail, isn't it?
don't pigeonhole yourself. It's like what I touched base on earlier. Do not pigeonhole yourself just into one category when doing
Yeah.
this. For me, this year, the goal is going to be sharing more authentic moments.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Like our couples chose us for a reason. They
Yeah.
chose us because they wanted their days to be feel authentic. They wanted to see the emotion in the imagery. And then the chances are they probably chose you because they love your aesthetic and your edit. And guess what? That's what makes your image feel stylish. That's what makes
Yeah.
your image feel elevated. So just post it and see what happens. I'm gonna play around with some stuff this year because I recently I was very lucky to collaborate with Pinterest who reached out.
X.
No, so I
Go
was
on, girl.
very lucky. But again, I wouldn't have got that opportunity if I wasn't present on Pinterest. I just want
Yeah.
to add that. That wasn't just them reaching out because they found me on Instagram. Like it all started. I very lucky. I sort of know someone who's connected to Pinterest, but her editor saw one of my film images crop up and they were doing a wedding week feature and they were like,
Yeah.
we really want to feature and spotlight your film work, which was lovely
And
and
your
very
film work
humble.
is stunning. So
Thank you. But
applaud.
like, but that was a great opportunity, and that's definitely helped with visibility as well, of course, because it pushes your work out to audiences further because it's the first thing they would have seen on the homepage. But like, this is the thing, businesses. I can't. Sorry, I've diverted a bit, but I
No,
just
you're
want to
absolutely
say
fine.
that businesses, whilst this, hopefully, this is a testimonial to saying that look, the aim is obviously to try and get your work out to couples, but don't underestimate the other opportunities it can give you from a
Yeah,
business and
100%.
visibility perspective, you
Especially
know?
here, I've got one more question after I make this
Yeah, of
point, but I
course.
think this is really valid. You work a lot in London. A lot of us, no matter where we are in the UK, if we're in that editorial aesthetic, a lot of our work is in London. That's just the vibe. And I'm finding now more, I'm getting a lot more corporate gigs and influencer events and like makeup gigs and stuff like that. And I wouldn't be getting those opportunities if my work wasn't so visible. Do you know what I mean? So
I know
I
exactly
think
what you
it's
mean.
just your finger in another pie. We're going into a cost of living crisis. So
Mhm.
it's just good and clever to have your fingers in different pies and have a
Absolutely.
different stream of marketing at your disposal. I think that's, why wouldn't we do that? It's a no-brainer, especially when
Absolutely.
it's doing something that we love and sharing work that we love. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with everything you're saying. I think just yeah, don't underestimate the power of this tool, basically.
yeah.
It's not just designed for weddings. It could put you into so many different journeys and pathways.
Yeah,
I
100%. As we get into summer, things are going to get quite crazy again because it's summer weddings, so that's the vibe. So I think being aware of what you're seeing at weddings, sharing more of that, checking in with what's touching you about the weddings that you're shooting, sharing that, and just always being very present with what you're enjoying about your work and sharing that. I think that's the key. And all the other stuff like the keywords, that's going to optimize it. But ultimately, if you're not obsessed with the work that you're sharing, it's never going to
No,
perform,
you got to
right?
be passionate and positive about the work you share. And that's why I say, like, my recommendation to everyone is do a rotation of things you want to post, like whether that's from details to dresses to designers. You know, if you want to spotlight a dress designer, if you did a beautiful picture of a bride who's wearing a dress and you want to spotlight that designer and rave about them, and you know, because
Yeah.
that's great as well. It's a good way to big up your peers as well in the industry. But I
Yeah.
would say keep your content diverse, keep it wide. Don't feel like it just has to funnel down to one thing. And that's what I'm doing this year. I'm gonna burst the doors open on it, and I'm gonna just basically I want to pin stuff that probably wouldn't normally even be considered to be pinned.
I love
And
that.
I want to try and I want to again, I almost just want to like change the attitude on it of like this should be, you know, this should be the search engine for, yes, for design, for
But I
aesthetic, but
think,
I want it to be a search engine for images
yeah,
and for people to actually, because I think as well what couples don't realize is like your wedding day is a total whirlwind of emotion, isn't it?
yeah,
Like it is chaos. And I think as well a lot of the time, I don't know if you get this, especially when it comes to shooting candid imagery. I get guests say they want candid, and then they're
like
like,
I
oh,
did.
but I hate plan, but I hate, you know, I hate my chins when I laugh, and oh, but actually. That's what Candid is about. And then when I deliver those images of like someone crying, it's so funny in the moment. They're like, oh gosh, I'm like ugly crying. I'm like, wait till you see this photo. Like just what you won't even be thinking about. And then when they look at it, they're
Um,
like, oh my God, the emotion. Like that's what happened.
uh,
And I think sadly, I think when you talk about Candid, people, it's quite an insecure thing, isn't it? Because you're caught off guard. But
yeah.
when you look back, and I think it's a good thing to be posting images like that on Pinterest because it's almost like a reassurance to couples that at the time,
Emotion, but emotion sells as well. And like this is something
yeah,
that we've been talking about a lot in the course about how, and I'm sorry, I promise I've only got one more question after this, but
that's fine.
so this always happens, like we always get into the nitty-gritty, like right in the last bit. But for a long time, people fell into this trap of being a copy and paste photographer, sharing
Mm,
things like champagne towers, walking shot. If I see more walking shots, I'm like, I'm asleep, like I'm so bored. Like drunken walking, like frolicking with each other, yeah, fine. Sorry, my cat gone crazy again. But just like walking up and down shots, champagne towers, just classic, anything that I think this is a classic wedding photo. I don't want to see it because you just get lost in a sea of like hundreds of other
yeah,
photographers that are doing it. But the moments you can't replicate, the moments you can't copy from wedding to wedding, the bridesmaid like crying her eyes out at the speech, that wasn't orchestrated. And all these moments that you're talking about, the raw chaos, the energy, the beautiful tenderness, like you can't copy and paste that. So by sharing more of the emotion, and this is just what we've been talking about on Instagram, but of course it would extend to Pinterest as well. That's the stuff that's stopping people scrolling because it feels real. And I think
yeah,
that's what everybody's craving at the moment. They just want real. Like
in moments.
aesthetics are important. Of course, they're important. People spending 2 grand on shoes, they want pictures of the shoes, ideally on a chandelier. Let's see.
Woohoo.
But I think those need to be dotted across the real emotion and the relationship
Absolutely. And
there.
it can all tie in. It can all tie in when you present your gallery. It all makes sense. You know, it can
Yeah.
all tie in and it all has its place. I think so like honestly, one of my images that is one of my most pinned images that I've put on Instagram is a film shot that I took from a wedding in 2023. It's probably one of my favorite weddings I've ever shot on film. And everyone came over from Australia. It was quite an intimate wedding. And they were literally like they were just having a cheers from a speech, but there was one person crying whilst cheersing. The two couples are absolutely elated. And then I remember as I took this film shot, I thought, shit, someone had their hand right in front of the viewfinder. And like I remember telling you, like, that's not going to turn out well. Like that's kind of annoyed me. But like it happened in the not annoyed at him, but I was more like, oh, it's not going to pan out how I wanted it to. Oh my God, I got the photo back. And I'm like, oh, I love it. It's not
Yeah.
correct. It's not right. I've got a white hand right here, like focus, but I can still see what's going on in front of me.
But it's
And
real.
I posted it, and again, this is why I'm gonna feel I want to feel dedicated to posting more stuff like that that's real, that in the moment that happened, that isn't just perfectly curated, that isn't perfectly set up. I think weddings are real moments. Obviously, we have the knowledge and the expertise to handle the curated formal side of it. But ultimately, our job is to get in amongst the nitty-gritty and to capture things authentically as they
Yeah, I
happened.
agree. I've even found myself like this week when I've been colouring a photo that I've missed focus in, but it's such a gorgeous moment. And before I wouldn't have posted that. Or I'll give you an example. At the wedding that I was at Saturday, I was still on shutter priority. for a couple of shots and they're so blurry, but the raw laughter going on from because I was doing like a edgy shot with the blur and then I just saw people reacting. So I just went like that and it's so blurry and I'm like, old Faye wouldn't have posted this, but now I'm like, fuck it. Like there's
That's
so
what
many.
happened. That's what happened. You know, you can still see emotion.
I'm just gonna round off
Yeah.
by saying because we've hit, I don't want to keep you all afternoon, even though I feel like we could literally talk all day about this. So talk to me about your course. So the whole reason why I wanted to get you on to this is because you've just launched a course
Yeah.
specifically on Pinterest, and I feel like if anyone should be teaching things about this, it's you because you absolutely love it. So if people are thinking about doing the course, like what sort of stuff do you cover within the course? How are you helping people? All that jazz.
Yeah. So it's the Pinterest startup course. It does what it says on the tin. It's a startup course. So anyone can access it, whether you're still in Pinterest or not, but it basically goes back to basics. No bullshit, no gumph, no over technical language. I wanted to keep it as simple as possible and almost like a step-by-step process. So it's interactive. It's got videos on there, me actually going back to basics, showing you how to do stuff. I wanted to keep it very visual. I feel like how I learn as an individual, and I think a lot of creators learn in the same way, is you like to be shown
Yeah.
physically how stuff's done, not just read a load of text on a piece of paper. I could go on the internet to do that. I want
I
to
love
see
that.
someone.
Get the videos on in the background on the TV whilst you're doing it. Like I love
Yeah,
it so much.
100%. Yeah. So it's literally it pretty much starts things back to basics. It will show you how to convert because I think I had someone come up to me and say, "Well, I use Pinterest as a business, but I can't access analytics. I didn't even know that was a thing." And I was like, "It's because you're using a personal account, not a Pinterest, like not a business account. So all you need to do is convert it." Again, it's information that's not actually widespread enough. Like you
No,
people don't realize that you can't access analytics because you're on personal. So
no.
it literally goes through sort of it starts by summarizing comments on like my thoughts on why it's underused, and it will kind of then go into the tailwind of how to build yourself a Pinterest profile that ticks all the boxes from an SEO perspective, how to curate and create pins to target audiences that you want to. And I basically give you sort of ideas on like how you can keyword, you know, what we touched base on earlier, sort of like what are
Yeah.
your techniques, okay, using how-tos, using ideas, inspiration.
Crazy, because if this is all the stuff that you've covered in this video, like there must just be so much in the course, like
There is. I've
opens
only
up.
I've only touched base on sort of, you know, I haven't, you know, I've pretty much spoken about sort of like the results really and what can
Yeah.
be achieved. But
But the course is like the practical step by step.
yeah, there's so much more to it. It's literally just a step by step, almost like a troubleshooting guide,
Yeah.
like to how you can basically overcome sort of the barriers that are put in your way when trying to navigate your way through
Oh, I love this.
Pinterest.
I can't wait to get it. And I was intentionally, I knew that I was going to get it as soon as I saw that you'd released it. Another thing that I was going to say as well was a lot of my US couples find me on Pinterest. And
Mm,
with the cost of living crisis at the moment, I'm finding that most of my clients are now American because US
yeah.
couples typically can't afford my services. And I don't, I'm in a position now where I want to work less. If I do many more 30, 40 wedding a year years, I'm just going to burn out and I can recognize that within myself. So I'm in a really fortunate position where I am able to work with less clients, but I am seeing the trend of it being Americans, and Pinterest is a big way that they find
It's
me.
huge. It's
So I'm
massive.
really looking forward to hopefully getting even more like traffic that way. So yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Oh,
So exciting.
we've like properly put the world to rights today. I've loved
I've
this so
touched on all
much.
bases. You're so welcome. And what I do say as well, with anyone that does purchase this course, it's not a case of that you're buying a digital course and that's all you're going to get. Like I say to people, once they purchase it, I always email them straight away and I'm like, reach out to me. Like if there's
Yeah.
something else you need to know, because like I've covered as much as I possibly can, but they might not have a question that
Well,
I have covered in there.
learning's not
Yeah.
linear, is it?
It's
So
always
yeah,
say, look, reach out to me afterwards. Let's discuss it. You know, let's look at your
yeah,
profile. Let me have a look. Let's see what we can do. Like
yeah.
I want it to be a case of like, I'm not throwing this course out and like that's all you're gonna get. Like I'm there for sort of one-to-one support afterwards if it's needed.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good because sometimes you don't know what you need help with until you start and then you're a bit lost. So I think that will be really helpful for people just knowing that they can reach out to you if they want.
And it's like I said, I want to finish on the fact that like, look, just because you've done a few pins in a month. Like, yeah, your stats are going to go up, but they're going to fall again. Honestly, consistency is key. Even if one week you only throw up 2 pins, you're still refreshing and keeping things updated. So
Yeah.
consistency is key. I think it took me a good 6 months to finally start seeing sort of every month it was growing, but at 6 months I was fully in a flow, fully in a routine. And in my course, I also give you like my routine and what I do as well. So that's like a little nugget bit of
Yeah, I
info
would say
too.
it must be good, like putting it into your workflow, but we've covered so much. I'm gonna stop it there because otherwise
Yeah.
we'll literally just chat. But thank you so much for coming on.
Thank.
I'm so excited to edit this. It's gonna be so good. And yeah, I just think you're amazing, by the way. Like,
Oh, I
I
knew,
hope my
darling.
fangirling has not been too intense because I just
Oh my God. Oh no, it's always nice to, speak to peers whose work you admire and stuff. Again, I think it's such an isolated industry. It's quite a lone wolf industry, I think, sometimes as well.
it's
So
so
it's
nice.
always
I
nice.
still remember when we met though, like I think you can just you said earlier on about when you were talking about Tom and how important it is to find your people, and Emmy mentioned as well, and Hannah, like you're not going to get on with everybody in the industry, but sometimes you just meet other people and can just tell that your point of view is the same. And I feel like your no gatekeeping approach, I really align with because when I came into weddings, I didn't find it very easy in the beginning. I did feel like it was really hard to find out the information that I needed, and that's why I'm sort of doing YouTube and trying to give more stuff for free because everything I learned in the beginning was from YouTube. Like, if you've not got the money because you've got kids or you've got another job or your money's spoken for, it's really hard to like grow. So, doing things like this, I think, is really nice because
Yeah.
everybody can access this at no cost. So, it's good.
Yeah.
We're doing God's work, Jess.
Exactly. Lovely.
Well, have a lovely afternoon, whatever you're up
And
to.
you.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
darling.
much.
Take
Bye.
care.
Thank you so much for being here and for watching that interview. If you love this format, there are lots of interviews as part of the Align course, which you can now see if you head to my channel. If you haven't already, please do subscribe or consider subscribing. I'm showing up once per week this year. That's my goal for the whole year. Let's see if I manage to do it with really helpful tips so that even if you don't have budget to invest in education, you can still get things on in the background whilst you're working hard that are hopefully going to help you to level up your business. Thank you so much and hopefully see you soon.